to the perverse generation for being an abuser. Anyone who is an independent-minded individual is less of an abuser. Why I suspect that my ex-husband, when I divorced him, my daughter was age 2, he had been a predator, sexual predator, to mislead my daughter that she can trust him and that everybody likes him and that he's a good dad, and they were having fun while he was tickling her, when in fact it was a demon who was doing more than tickling her. The root of his problem was that he was deeply racist, and he had a strategy to build on finding a way to threaten me, to build on finding a way to make me feel that he can destroy everything in my life and get away with it. And that's what he was building on, to destroy my life, because that's how he felt powerful and strong. That was his important role with Children's Social Services and his secret telephone calls with them as an insider. That's how he portrayed himself, as a steady outward appearance after our divorce, and inwardly, in his private time, he would make progress with Children's Social Services, betraying me behind my back. So he had a plan to destroy my life by removing my daughter from my care. By the very thing that he should have been punished for, I took the punishment. I took the beating emotionally and physically for his accusations that I had no family to support me. He didn't say anything derogatory to the school my daughter was attending. It was on the lines of my vulnerability and the fact that I had no community and no social network and nobody, and that I was a nobody. So that's how he did it. Even doing this video exposing him makes him roll in his grave? No. He's no longer a skeleton even. He's evaporated totally, or turned to ash totally. So this was his fake heaven, the authority that would listen to him and make progress with him for their system, in return to me rearing my daughter and nurturing her, and him being like a foster parent in my home, my territory, because he was desperate. He couldn't wait to return her to my care, and he regretted the fact that he had read all the reports that they had written, and the way both mental health services had made a negative impression on me, and how he had broken promises to me in any connection to our daughter, because he didn't want them to do that, to tear the child apart into pieces, to say that she is his daughter and she's not my daughter. He didn't want to do that. So he wanted to fulfill the promise to return her to my care and to recover the ruined reputation because of Children's Social Services and the worst impression they made on me to character assassinate me, because he felt guilty, obviously, for what he did, and because he was desperate to return her to me, which was point number 5, why I suspect he sexually harassed my daughter for 3 months from age 4 and 5. While I was divorced, obviously I wasn't having sex with him, so obviously I was divorced, so he would take frustrations out on her. So this is what a madman would do, because he would also tell me that in the events of bad weather, when the main pushchair rain cover flew off in a windy day, bad weather, he wanted to return it from the rail tracks. He jumped on the rail tracks in front of my daughter. She's totally alone, and it was a condemnation and a curse that she felt alone, exiled on a pushchair, waiting to see her father being executed or electrocuted. But God remained faithful to me. In God I put my trust, that my daughter did not see the horror of her father dying on the rail track. He told me this, so that it's a sign that something's wrong with him in his mind. Which brings me to point number 6. Point number 7, he would leave my daughter in front of the telly while he went to the shops, local shops, because his arm was broken, shoulder, and his knees were dislocated, and he had pain. He couldn't carry the pushchair from his flat. Downstairs there was no lift, and that was his excuse, and he told me this. He didn't tell anybody else, and I was very upset that he left her alone watching the telly, and his strategy to have the shopping rather than have the shopping delivered to him. He didn't want to use the internet or anything like that, which makes me suspect that his life was too personal and too secretive, which is very scary. Point number 8. The historical records of him having a criminal record of lying and stealing money from the Bank of England, obviously, so that he can work and live in America. It was a large lump of sum of money, and so, which is another reason which makes me suspect of him that if I had known this, I probably wouldn't have been engaged and I wouldn't have gotten married, but I didn't know. So there is a trust issue, and the failure of him taking care of my family. My family, not our family, after the divorce, in the perspective that he had already used my bank account as a dual bank account to open many loans, whereas I never did that for his things. So it's extremely selfish, historically. He also left her when she was between age 4 and 5, unexpectedly or expectedly, I don't know, jump up and down as children do and wander around without the premises or the area, without padding the area, cushioning the area. So she fell on some furniture and knocked her teeth. So he had to take her to the dentist by an emergency, and it destroyed my daughter's central nerve damage and gum damage area, and she's been focused on the fact that even today's date, She now has a tooth missing permanently on her lower jaw, and I have always been concerned about that. Likewise, I always took her to the dentist